Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Peter Barber. I'm primarily a professional opera singer, music producer, bass vocalist, and host of this podcast, Vocal Arts with Peter Barber. Whether you are watching on YouTube or if you are listening on one of the many podcast streaming services, thank you so much for tuning in. Today we have a very, very special guest, Matt Sallee, the bass singer of Pentatonix, probably the most famous and successful a cappella group of all time. It was, of course, an absolute dream and a privilege for me to be able to speak with Matt for about 40 minutes just a few hours ago. He's absolutely a wonderful guy, so warm, so friendly. He's an immense musical talent. Everything from his voice to his contribution to the arrangement process to everything else that comes along with being the bass singer of Pentatonix, which is absolutely incredible. We talked about his life pre-Pentatonix, the a cappella groups he was in before, his foundational musical training. We talked about the time in between when he got out of college and how everything that led up to Pentatonix, including the whole audition process, which was very cool to hear about. We talk a little bit about his moving into a bit of solo work in addition to Pentatonix. And guys, you are going to really enjoy this. He's just such a warm, welcoming, friendly guy. And we had a really, really wonderful, wonderful chat. It was an absolute honor to speak with someone who is doing his craft at the absolute highest level. So everyone, please welcome, put your hands together for Matt Sallee. Well, hello to everyone who is joining, whether you're watching on the channel or listening on the podcast. We are here with the wonderful Matt Sallee, and I'm going to pass the mic over to him and let him introduce himself and give a little elevator pitch as to who he is and what he's up to these days.
Hey, everybody. It's Matt Sallee from Pentatonix. Very excited to be here. Really just taking it day by day. You know, we're in between tours. We're about to head out for our summer leg of tour. And where we do amphitheaters, we just did Asia and Europe in the beginning half of the year. And so it's been a whirlwind. We have stuff we're working on, album deadlines and things, and all covers and all the things. So it's whereas PTX land, whereas I'm working on some of my own music and some of my own projects too. So and my wife is taking the bar of California tomorrow. So so it's a pretty crazy season for us right now.
Big things moving.
Very excited.
Awesome. I can't wait to get into all of that. I want to kind of wind the clock back.
Okay.
You know, where did your musical training begin? So we don't have to go into childhood, but like, where did you do your studies? Did you study music? And what is your kind of your formal training actually as a musician and singer?
I would say it started formally with my dad, because he's a music pastor. So I've been singing under him in choirs on the praise team, learning harmony from a very young age. And from then on singing through plays and things from church and things like that. So sure. I feel like I owe a big testament to him and my mom. I have to say that.
Awesome.
My mom too. But I did a lot of vocal lessons, like private lessons in middle and high school. I did all the all county, tri-county, all state choruses from 4th grade to 12th grade, and also did a lot of theater training as well. Did every play and musical. I played baseball with my friends into middle school, and then we got to high school and was like, okay, well, I guess I'll focus on music. So I did like the play in the fall, musical in the spring kind of thing, and every choir that you could imagine we were in. It was a good time. So a lot of training. And then I went to Berklee College of Music for college.
Okay.
And graduated from there in vocal performance.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So vocal performance. So did you study classical mostly, or were you?
Berklee is so cool that what I love, because it's the biggest contemporary music school in the world. And what I love about the structure there is that you can kind of pick and choose. Like they have some classical teachers, kind of the route that you want to take. And I took some classical lessons, but it was more so like honing in different types of singings. Like I was in so many different ensembles, which were literal classes that were like a Stevie Wonder ensemble and Paul Simon Sting ensemble and rhythm and soul ensemble. So it was like you could join all these things as literal courses that you would take for each semester. And I feel like I learned so much, like from background singing on friend shows, from like doing pitch slap I did in college, which is the acapella group, and then running that my senior year, and then like so I was all over the map singing wise. I feel like it all really helped culminate, what I needed to be able to do this job and other things that I want to do in the future. So
Yeah. So you feel like you came out of Berkeley feeling like a pretty well-rounded artist, kind of like you've honed your craft and kind of gave you a vision perhaps of what you wanted to go into, because not all undergrads prepare musicians for what's to come.
yeah,
So
I would say my story is unique. Obviously, I know we're going to get into that, but I would say I was prepared in a lot of ways because I kind of use the resources that I had there to my advantage rather than going exactly the right way. That was this, you go through every course the right way and you don't do any extracurricular and it's all kind of, in the books and in the head down, which is all good and for theory and things like that. But it's such a connection based school um, and like who how you get there, and kind of thing. And so I learned a lot of networking and how to adjust and be adaptable, and being a lead singer in one thing, but then arranging a vocal for this thing. You just had to be kind of a chameleon in that way.
yeah.
And I feel like all of the in that way, it was really cool to be able to come out of there with so many different types of skill sets, if that makes sense.
Totally. Absolutely makes sense. So what was the time between Berkeley and Pentatonix? And I definitely want to get into how all that came together, because that
Yeah.
has obviously become the meat and potatoes of your career. And it's really exciting to hear you're working on solo stuff, and I want to hear more about that. But let's talk about Pentatonix and how that came together.
Well, that part of the story, or the in between, or go back,
No,
just so I'm clear.
no, we can go in between first. Let's do the in between
Okay.
first, because I don't know how long that period of time was for you.
Yeah, so I graduated in 2016 summer. And so I did 4 years in a semester. And I was in a wedding band for about my like my junior year of college. And and so I did the wedding band thing, which I loved. It was so much fun, and was doing that primarily as a job, and then doing other lessons and different types of things. And then I joined an acapella group called the House Jacks, right outside um, of college.
I've heard of
Because
them. I
yeah,
believe Tim Faust was also a part of that group back in the day.
I think so.
I think
Yeah,
he
he's
was.
awesome. He's awesome. And
Oh
Deke
yeah,
Sharon started it way back
yeah.
when, in the '90s. I think they started it back then, and so of my best friend, he was in the group. And so we were literally walking on the street one day. He was like, "Hey, well, like would you want to sing in this?" Like he's like, "Oh yeah, we're looking for me." And I was like, "Thanks for thinking of me," like you for thinking of me. And so he ended up suggesting an audition and got into the group. So I was doing that full time with the wedding band stuff and whatever, and different gigs around Boston, the Boston area, on the in between. And it's funny, I was even singing in like a quartet a cappella group that would sing, like, almost, we were paid buskers, so we would like go downtown. It was some initiative they had or something, and then we would go to different corners. We would have shifts like a job, and like an hour we would go to the corner and we'd sing like 4-part harmony, and then we'd go to the next corner. It was
Cool.
kind of crazy. So I forgot about that. I think about like so many things like prepared me for this. I totally forgot
Yeah,
about that one.
of course.
But that was the in between. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. So graduated 2016,
Hmm.
and Pentatonix, I mean, it wasn't that long after that that you were in that group, right? So
No.
yeah, how did they find you? How did that whole process come together?
So I've known Ben Bram for a while now. I met all of them my senior year of high school at a competition that we did in Virginia. They were fresh off the sing off.
Hey, I'm from
And
Virginia. Let's go.
oh, no way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Central Virginia, a little town called Crozet. It's near Charlottesville.
Oh, word. I'm from
Yeah.
Maryland. You may not know that, but I'm from Maryland, so grew up in
All
Southern Maryland.
right.
So
Just a
we're
few
in
hours away.
DMV.
Cool,
Yeah.
man.
Um, so what did we do it? Not Brit. It was Bristow, Virginia. No, that's where the
Bristol.
show is.
Bristol?
No, that's where the show is now. Sorry, Woodbridge, Virginia.
Woodbridge. Sure, sure,
Um,
sure.
it was a acapella festival called Sing Strong, and I met them there. And it was like the winner. They did like a whole talk and workshop or whatever, and it was like the winner of that competition got to like open for Benetton. It was like a whole thing, and we came in second. We came in second because the teachers were the rhythm section for the winning group. Like the teachers performed with the kids. So it's kind of like they cheated, but we don't
Oh, come on now.
but yeah, whatever.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. But it was really cool. We got to see the show on the front row, and like really that was the first time interacting. And Ben was running sound for them back then. And it was just like this thing. And so fast forward to College Town, um, I was doing a Pitch Slap, the acapella group that was on the Sing Off season 2, either season 2 or season 1. Um, and and as soon as I got to Berkeley, that's the first thing I did was auditions for that because I wanted to be on the Sing Off, and whatever. And so I met Ben. Got reintroduced to Ben through that process. Not a lot of us spaces, as you know, and not a lot of. And so I started, getting connected with him again. There's certain things for me out in LA, and I'll be like, oh, I can't do it. Or certain projects, or hey, I flew up to New York to do something for him a couple times. And what's funny enough, a lot of people don't know this. I was in 2 different groups that were supposed to be on the Sing Off.
Oh. Drama. Oh, I bet the producers love that though.
And so like I was in 2 different groups at different times that were supposed to be on the Sing Off. One that was supposed to go through, and then the group ended up not wanting to do it. But so funny. But everything works out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
So I knew Ben from all of those things and those processes. And he hit me up for an audition for a group that was touring in July. That's what he said, because it was confidential. And they had hired someone to find basses for through this process. And I wasn't in that process. I knew Ben. I didn't know the guy that they had hired. So I was coming in kind of late to the process. And so granted, you could tell like it was, I would send an email, certain things, I had to go through Ben and kind of check and kind of keep checking in. And so that process happened. And around like the 3rd round of it all, they sent like bassless tracks that we had to sing to. And one of them was like 2 songs and then a Pentatonix song and then 1 song. But I was like, this is for Pentatonix. I know it was like a medley.
Ooh,
I was like, I know this is for. There's not a lot of groups. I'm in one. At the time I was in the House Jacks. Like I know not a lot of groups tour internationally in July. And things like that. I was like, I know what this is for. It was like 3 groups at the time. And so it was really cool to be a part of that process. And then, so then I got a call back. Hey, come to LA. You're one of 9 guys to come to LA. And I flew to LA and did the callback audition. And it was kind of, the rest is kind of history. I heard back like 3 months later. I just skipped ahead. I'll go back.
Wow. 3 months? Were you just sitting on your hands?
Well, yeah, I went back to work. So I was like, I was texting Ben, like, hey, tell me I didn't get it. Like, tell me I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to hear anything. And they're like, no, they haven't made the decision. Now, knowing what I know now, like how the business works and, how rigorous the touring schedule is and like how busy, how focused you have to be. Like, I get it. That was the last tour they had as that formation of the group. So it was like getting through that tour. And once that tour ended, that's when I heard as soon as the tour ended. Okay. And I got a call and was like, hey, do you want to come? We need a bass. Do you want to come like sing with us for a bit? And it was for trial run. It was like, hey, do you want to come out to LA, like sing? We need a bass for this season. We have a tour. We have some shows. Like, it wasn't like, hey, you want to be a Pentatonix? It was because they want to protect themselves at the time too. So see if it's a good fit and all of that. And so when I got the call, I like, okay. And so I called my parents. I was like, I think I'm going to be in Pentatonix. And my parents were like, what?
Good Lord.
because they know me. They like I mow the lawn and I'm singing like adding a sixth part to the Pentatonix stuff. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I know that I've studied acapella like
Yeah.
more so than the average human being,
Hmm.
and probably more so than anybody else. So it's like I know acapella. I know this group. I know the music. I know the musicality. I've led workshops with high schoolers and middle schoolers, and I've done college groups, and I've done
Yeah.
literally everything you could do in acapella at that time. And so that was like the almost fitting next step. And so like I feel like God really prepared me for all of that to come to culmination at that moment.
Amazing. So part of the
Yeah,
audition
crazy.
process was you did not sing with them until they said, "Let's give you a trial run."
Oh no, I did. I sang with them at the callback. They were
Okay,
there. It was
I
in
figured
LA.
because I know that's a big.
Yeah.
I also did a cappella in undergrad, and that was the biggest thing was the callback. You could
Hmm.
actually see how you kind of mesh with the group, and
Yeah.
for us, we like had to learn a part really quickly, and then like
Yeah.
perform with music and just kind of, and of course, it's a big part of it's a personality thing. Like
Yeah.
you want to spend
For
time with
sure.
this person, like are you a good colleague? Are you going to show up prepared? And then in line with that is of course the talent and like what you can actually do vocally, but it's
Yeah.
certainly two parts, three parts, all very important.
For sure. And the first half of the audition was um we sang for them. So we would sing the bassless tracks and we sang a solo, I think like Aha and like Imagine or something like that. And we sang for them. And
Mm-hmm.
then they cut half of the people and sent them back to the hotel. Like it's like for American Idol or something.
Yeah.
It's like they
Yeah.
cut half the people and then we moved forward, the final four of us. And then the final four of us sang with them, one at a time. And it was like more of an interview process. And
Mm-hmm.
like we sang on stage on mic, we sang off mic, which is so funny because I like literally did auditions before that the exact same way.
Yeah.
It's like so it's just like you can't make this stuff up. And so I just like I know how to blend, and you know what I mean. Like you
Yeah.
be in the circle, and it's just like, and I remember when we first sang together in that circle, I was like, oh, this is fun. If this is what all that happened, like I'm blessed. Like I'm just very excited to have had this opportunity to say like I got to fill those shoes and fill the spot as a bass player for this band.
Amazing.
And I felt like they felt that energy too. Like they were very focused and like heads down. But then they like the fun like of it and like the joy. Like I got a couple smiles and then like back to head down. Yeah, I remember that. And so it's like we got to say, got to be fair
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff. But it was really cool. It was a really cool process. And then I flew out to LA, and it was a really fast 4 or 5 days. But I like I worked the day I got back. I worked the next day, so I got in
Wow.
like that Saturday night or something or Sunday night, and I went to record on the Christmas album the first day. The next day, isn't that
Amazing.
crazy?
Yeah. Whoa, that is wild. Was it entirely the members' decisions that you got in? Was it like,
uh,
and was it all five of them that were there at the
yeah, I
time?
think I don't know. Yeah, they all were there. It was
Okay.
four of them, and Ben was a part of the process. So I don't know how much decision making he had
Okay.
in that process, but I'm sure he had a good voice in it, as the main producer of the group.
Yeah.
But I think that they kind of, from what I understand, they just had the process and they made the decision themselves with Ben, as a help, and then we move forward. I know it was like all those guys were like they're still killing. Like I remember going to like getting in the car, like that's the guy from Rockapella. That's the guy who I replaced in the House Jacks. Like I just
Yeah.
felt like that. I was like, oh, these are the best of the best. These
Yeah.
guys are amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so it was cool.
Amazing. Okay, so you get in, you do the trial run. Obviously, that goes super well, and then you're in. Like at what point were they like, all right, you're in. Like you're
It,
officially in now.
it was at the end of the first Christmas tour, um, where we had just finished, and that was the group's first Christmas tour as well. So it was cool to be a part of something that was the first for everybody.
Yeah.
And it just gone so well. And because that was some sort a trial run of sorts too, because they've toured so much, but they've never done that. And so they were doing not smaller-ish theaters. We were doing and kind of testing it out. The water was 3 nights in Chicago, 4 nights in New York. It was like smaller theaters, and they all would sell out, and it would just be this amazing experience. And everybody was so kind to me and so like excited, and the energy was just so awesome. And so at the end of that run, they had like a whole thing with some of my favorite things like candy and like a chicken and things like that. They had like a whole celebration. It was like, hey, welcome to the group, like officially. So
amazing.
It was cool.
Did you feel? It sounds like I think you've kind of already answered this, but did you really feel like you were part of the group and really welcomed, and it was like your family from the beginning? And secondarily, you're coming in to replace Avi Kaplan, who did a phenomenal job with the group. He's an amazing artist, amazing singer. What was that like? And did you feel a lot of pressure because of that? And how did people respond? And how did you handle people responding to you being the new bass for Pentatonix, which is a huge deal?
It was like a bomb that dropped. Like I didn't tell many. I told like my closest friends, and like my friends that a lot of my dear closest friends are still my closest friends today were already in LA. And so I was letting them know, like, hey, I'm coming to LA. They're like, why? And I'm like, are you by yourself? like I'm trying to tell it everybody, like secretly, whatever.
Yeah.
And like mentors of mine, like, this is crazy. I can't believe this is happening. And I will never forget this. A lot of people don't know this, but I met Avi at this, like there was some sort of like acapella thing happening in LA. And we had like a one-on-one time for like a significant amount of time. And that always impacted me so well, because it was almost like a passing of the torch. He gave me so much advice, like so many beautiful nuggets of wisdom, and I still will never forget, and probably won't ever share. And it was just really, really kind. He didn't have to do that. And I'll always appreciate him for that, because he could be any other way, but he was so gracious and so humble. And that gave me, knowing how he felt, and knowing that can always wonder, but knowing from the source how he felt, I felt like I had the green light and the baton to go forth in fullness. And it was really exciting at that, because everyone was very excited. They were like, oh, can't believe what this is happening. They're excited the group's still going. They're excited to learn who I am. They're excited for the new things, and it's just new. It's a new thing. So
yeah.
So it comes with its, highs and lows. But which is like just pressure, feeling that pressure. But a lot of it was self-inflicted. It wasn't, you suck, or anything like that. It was just like, I want to fill these shoes the best way I can, but I still want to be me. So it actually came more seamless, and the band was so kind through that process as well. They were like so like gracious and loving and encouraging and like excited too. It was like this excited energy as well. So it was like we just started and kept moving and just hit the ground running.
That's wonderful. I had no doubt. It seems like that kind of group. Like everyone really is like a family. It's not just like a show thing. Yeah. It's like y'all really are super tight, and you need that if you're going to be, touring and working with these people all the time. That's what I was saying a minute ago about just being a good colleague. That's like such a big part of any business, but especially the music business, if you're going to be jamming and performing with people.
Super key.
You guys do so many projects. You've done so many projects. I'm interested to hear kind of like a start to finish of just putting out like a music video and a song with it. So like everything that goes into like who arranges for you guys. How does the studio time work? Do you have like a set schedule for that? Do you have like a studio you use every time for audio, every time for video? Like how does a Pentatonix project come together? I think people will find that really interesting.
Yeah, we get this question often, just especially the arranging process. We get that probably the most. It usually starts as us getting together, throwing ideas out on a cover, like, can you feel the love tonight? As an example, we were on tour. We we're like in a dressing room and we're throwing out ideas, kind of singing our parts through. Who should sing solo where, kind of doing that. And it's like this messy but beautiful like voice memo and that we'll have together. And then we'll send that off to Ben usually, and he'll like sift through it, and then he'll clean it up a bit, and then we'll like put it in on paper, and we'll go in and arrange it with him. And then we'll record it at his studio. And then one at a time, just go in, record it, and add parts. And then Ed Boyer, who's in the best in the biz for acapella mixer in general. He's doing a lot of stuff. Like he just did Scott's solo EP he just dropped, and like he's really good. I'm excited to see him like expand too, like not just acapella. He's a beast.
You probably haven't heard of us yet. I'm in a group of 4 bass singers called the Bass Gang, and we started making stuff during the pandemic. We're actually meeting up in the Czech Republic in a couple of weeks for the first time ever to shoot music videos. Very exciting. And so we have, we're getting a following, and we're making money on Patreon. So now we have some funds, and so we've actually been using Ed for some of our projects recently, and it really has taken the quality to a new level to have him mixing.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Send me that. That's awesome. I didn't know that.
I'll send you a DM on Instagram with our stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
okay, so Ed mixes for all your guys' stuff. Okay, cool.
And then we'll film the video the next day, probably, or next couple of days. Comes together really quickly. And we'll get a production company, whatever, and get kind of things going. We'll film the music video, and then usually in the next few days we get a pass of it and with color and beauty, and then we edit it and we put it up pretty quickly. It's like it's not a super long process. And especially for Christmas stuff, when we have the Christmas videos and we have to do multiple at a time, we'll do 2 shoots in a day. Like one time we did, oh my gosh, we did Attention, New Rules, Perfect, and something else off of that record
all in
2 days.
2 days.
Yeah, wow. It was like 2 videos, one in the other room, one in another room, the next day, another room. It was so nice. It's so easy. It's like it was super the flow.
Yeah.
So it could be days like that, or it could be long days where it's like a more extensive shoot, like elaborate, like the prayers or something, like where you have to build these art sets and make it look like a forest, and so stuff like that. So it really depends.
Do you guys use different production companies each time for the videos?
Yes, somewhat. We'll get pitched. Different. What are they called? My brain's escaping.
Storyboards or.
Like they'll pitch their concepts, ideas for the videos, and we'll pick the one what we want to go for, and then we'll use that company usually with that director, and so it kind of goes that way.
Awesome. So you guys use basically all the same process for the music side, but you vary it out for the video side.
Yeah, because we don't have like a set person we use just for the videos side, like one person or one. It's kind of fun that way too, because it keeps it fresh and keeps it different.
Yeah,
we have different ideas, and now too we're thinking like Scott and Kirsty, people even most recently have been really interested in directing and pitching ideas. So we're and we've actually in this phase, the new phase of Pentatonix, we've been doing a lot of singing in the room together, putting it in the DAW, like Logic, Pro Tools, and kind of like going forth and doing it that way. And it's really cool. There's some like really, really cool stuff gonna come out in the fall. That's really exciting.
Awesome.
That was arranged that way. Creep is an example of that's out, but that was Scott did that when we were on The Masked Singer. He like did it in the DAW and kind of super awesome, super good, super cool process.
Fantastic. I want to talk a little bit about just like your singing while we have a bit of time left. How do you approach your vocal training these days? Or, since you're performing so much and you're working with the group all the time, do you pretty much get all your practice just doing it? Or do you sometimes go into the practice room and you're like, I really want to work on this part of my range, or I really want to work on this. Like, I want to build my riffing, or, I want to try to add some resonance to the low notes? Or how do you go about actually developing your voice at this point?
I'm singing all the time, even when I'm not even realizing it. My wife tells me. And so I think like there's a constant workflow happening that way. I don't go into a practice room necessarily. I don't
Mm.
really have necessarily a lot of the time to do that
Yeah,
in
yeah,
this
yeah.
season of life.
Hmm.
But a lot of times, like when we're recording a song, like even more recently, if it takes a few times to get through it, if it's like a certain way to sing it, it may take a couple days to um, to really hone it in the way you want to. Like especially in this process of working on solo music, it takes a second. It's not just like as hey sing your part like I'm used to,
Hmm.
sing your part down. Here's the bass line. Here's that. We may adjust some things, but this is typically what it's going to sound like. It's like, no, what does this make you feel in a certain way? It may feel that a certain way a different day. So it's like, do you like this feeling that day or that feeling that day? And the way you sing it, and so it's an ever evolving process for me. And I try to ebb and flow with it naturally
Cool.
as it comes, especially on tour when through the vocal fatigue and all the things that trying to take care of your voice, warming up,
Yeah.
water, all throat coat is so amazing.
It's good stuff.
Just things like that. But yeah, just trying to keep the reps up. It'll be interesting because we had 2 months off going into rehearsals
Whip it
for
back in
this
shape.
yeah, it's good. It comes quickly, but it takes a second. You're like, all right,
Uh,
I need to wake up.
yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
These muscles.
Very cool. So, I mean, Pentatonix, you guys perform live so much, and I'm sure that is
Mhm.
factored in when you write an arrangement where you have the recording process because you don't want to record a bunch of things that you can't perform consistently live, I would imagine. And I know
Mm.
sometimes groups will have arrangements that you can kind of option differently. If there's like some note that you're like 50% on, then there's like an option if in a
Yeah,
live setting you're like sick or you just don't have it that day that you can do something else. But
adjust. Yeah,
I figure these arrangements are like really well tailored to your guys' strengths as singers.
yeah.
So I mean, when you are there ever nights going on tour when you're like, I don't know about this bass line tonight. Like I'm just, like the low end isn't there. Like, do you guys have like option out or do you kind of just do it on the spot? You're just like,
Um, they're kind of built. If I'm not just saying that, I don't super run into that issue because they're kind of built in the way of our strengths.
yeah,
So there's not like there may be like okay, so like a Daft Punk, uh,
yeah,
those bees are really being really low that night.
yep,
I may ghost them out, or I may like fry them a little bit, or try to
mm,
get it as much as
yeah,
possible. But some nights are stronger than others, if you mean
yeah,
like that. But
totally,
not, not like the ebbs and flows of the bass lines because they were built for me,
yeah,
and even the ones that weren't. I've built my skill set in the range of be able to sing them. So,
yeah,
or to adjust maybe a note or there that doesn't really adhere. So I've never really super run into
cool,
that issue. It's more so if the my chest voice, my falsetto is pretty strong all the time. Although bass is baritone's pretty strong all the
mm-hmm,
time. It's
mm-hmm,
sometimes the like now as I start to get into the tenory lead stuff, like Sound of
yeah,
Silence and things like that. You have to prepare for it. You just have to make sure you're landing on top and singing correctly and like and there, or you will crack. And I have cracked many a time. And you just keep pushing.
Listen, that's
And
part of
sometimes,
live. That's live
yeah,
performance.
some people have told me like, wow, that emotion on that was awesome. I was like, thank you.
Totally intentional. Totally intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, I mean, you sing way up into that kind of baritone range on some
Hmm.
of these arrangements. And again, like you're saying,
Yeah.
this is something you have to be able to pull off live.
Yeah,
And
for
those
sure.
notes, like if you're a natural bass voice, that high stuff, that's what takes all the training. Like during the low stuff is
Hmm.
pretty easy most of the time until it gets,
Yeah.
extremely low, like those B's you're talking about. But that high
Hmm.
belt range where you're really kind of threading the needle, really stretching out out the vocal folds to get up there, that takes like a
Yeah,
good warm up, and you do kind of have to be on,
for
with that
sure.
kind of stuff.
And what helps is that you just reps, like doing them more and
Yeah.
more because your muscles do adapt and adjust to it. Like now, it may take a second for me to like lock into that place, but it doesn't take too
Mhm.
long because my muscles have been trained to be able to do that for the X amount of time and in a certain way. Unless I'm sick, I can usually do it the exact same way every night because I've
Yeah.
trained myself to do it that way.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Just doing it so many times that it's muscle memory.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah,
then
there's songs I could sing right now that I've learned 6 years ago,
right.
even high school, my friends, we get together and we sing our high school pieces together all the time.
Yeah,
And it just
exactly.
falls in. Yeah.
Exactly. And also, you guys perform so much, you're performing it. I just heard someone recently, way up in the opera world, talk about how you wake up with a new
Mm,
voice every day because
mm,
everything you do affects your voice because it's part of your
yeah.
instrument. So if you go on tour and you
Yeah.
perform the same stuff in 100 different vocal conditions, like
Hmm.
then it's really in your muscle memory. Then it's like every condition
Yeah.
you're in, you're like, oh, I know how to get there. I know how to do that.
Yeah. 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 For sure. For sure. And yeah. And that just comes with the traveling and with the taking care of your body
Yeah.
or learning from not taking care of your body.
It goes both ways.
Goes both ways
Yeah.
because you will learn. You
You
will live,
will.
but you will learn.
I mean, those are the best lessons, really. Those are the ones you really don't forget.
For sure. For sure.
So we just got a few minutes left. I would love to hear if you just have some advice, some tips for young singers and especially young basses who maybe want to go into kind of the same field you're going into or that you've gone into.
Yeah, I think that the I fought a lot with insecurity. I fought a lot with inadequacy because all your favorite singers are tenors. You hear that, and like all the songs on the radio is super high, and it's
Mhm.
like, oh, it doesn't sound the same if I take it down and sing it. And it does. It really. Um, your voice is so special. I believe God makes us all uniquely, and nobody else sounds like you. And so to be able to do what you do requires you, And
Mm.
so someone's looking for you. Someone needs your voice type in whatever in something that they're doing. And someone even in songwriting and music, put whatever you're doing, like somebody needs to hear that song. Someone needs to hear your voice. Someone needs to hear what you have to say. And so to don't let fear cripple you enough to not do anything, to not go for it, to not even try, because we've all been there. And it doesn't matter how many likes, views, whatever. Like everyone struggles with that at every part of that. I'm telling you from an example and what I've seen from some of the biggest artists and how they struggle sometimes with insecurity or and a lot of them speak about it. It's a constant thing that you have to keep wrestling with. And so I just encourage people to keep doing it and go for it. And don't let that get in the way of it, of trying and going for it, and get the training, take all the lessons, invest in yourself, if as much as you can. Don't just see it as like a gig that is just a show or a gig for a couple people. I used to sing at bars in Boston for two people and have the mindset of these two people are going to get the best show that they've gotten tonight, and that we're going to have the best time. And so whether it's two people or 2,000 people, it doesn't matter. It's just like it's your heart posture, what you're doing, when you're doing it, and what you put into it, and it really will propel you and prepare you for the future and what you're going to do. And so I wouldn't take anything lightly, and I would take every opportunity with joy. And don't come. And the last thing I'll say is don't compare yourself to other people, because that's
Mhm.
really, really difficult. Because your story is totally different from their story, even if it's similar. You're a singer, they're a singer, you're a bass singer, they're a bass singer. Like there's so many different areas and ways that you could be in this industry and be used. Like could be a session singer. I know have so many friends who are working every day in LA because they are a session singer, and they're one of five basses that get the calls because they're consistent and they can read music, and and they have a good attitude, and they show. It's just
Yeah.
they're constantly where they have a job. It's just there's so many different areas and realms of the industry and musicality that are just necessary for you. So you're special. So don't try to take that story or even mine and just say, oh, if I don't do that, if I don't become the next member of Pentatonix, then I didn't make it. It's like, no, that's not it. I was excited when I was in the house checks. I was excited when I was in wedding bands. Like I had the same excitement. It's just different, as you grow and you learn. So it's all very exciting stuff. And I just want
wonderful advice.
Encouraged.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm sure all the young singers out there will greatly appreciate hearing that. It is certainly something.
Yeah.
It's certainly something you see a lot, is especially the comparison. And
yeah, for sure.
If I don't have this, if I can't sing this person's low notes, I'm not a real bass, or stuff like that. And it's so dangerous and it's so toxic. And
I hear that stuff all the time. Like, people tell me that all the time. Oh, he's not a bass. I was like, okay, thank you for your opinion.
Yeah, I'm only
going to continue doing my job.
I'm just singing bass for the most successful acapella group in the world, but I'm not a bass. Got it. Thanks.
Thank you. Sometimes people like to just stir the pot, and they want to see if they can get to you.
Oh yeah. And people become monsters behind a computer screen,
Yeah, I'm sure you can see, as having your own channel and seeing that.
Oh yeah,
just people.
Yeah,
but you keep going, keep pushing. Thank you for the constructive criticism. Yeah. I will take it with a grain of salt.
Yes. Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an honor to chat with you. I think people are really going to enjoy this conversation and get a lot of value from it. So thank you so much for your time. And please, any final words you'd like to say to the audience, please go for it. And then we'll sign off.
Come see us. If you'd see me, message me. Like Peter knows, that's how we connected over Instagram. I'm really active on there. Matt Sallee Music on everything. Instagram, Facebook, all of things, Twitter, TikTok. And so just message me. I really love to engage with people, especially people who are passionate about the arts and music and singing and bass singing, especially. Like, we need each other and we need to encourage each other. So hit me up.
Awesome. All right, Matt. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to get you off with a couple minutes to get to your next meeting.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Been an absolute joy, man. Good luck with everything.
Same. Great to meet you. So honored to meet you. I'm gonna check out your stuff. Don't forget to send it to me.
I will. Take care.
Yeah, I'll see you in Virginia. We gotta get you to the show. We'll message. We'll talk. Yeah,
we'll get together.
See you in Virginia.
See you, man.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.